Which bounty hunters could make an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett? Let's run through all of the popular, more well-known bounty hunters and see which ones could show up. First, let's look at some of the bounty hunters from the original lineup scene from The Empire Strikes Back. The first one we'll look at is Bossk. Could Bossk return to be a potential ally or enemy to Boba Fett? Bossk was last seen chronologically in the background of Return of the Jedi, on board Jabba's sail barge when they took Luke, Han, and Chewbacca to the Sarlacc pit. It's possible that Bossk could have escaped from the destruction of the sail barge before it exploded. Bib Fortuna had been on board it as well, and we know that he had been able to make his way off of it too. So if Bib had been able to escape, Bossk definitely could have as well. As for whether Bossk would be an ally or not to Boba Fett is another matter. We know that they were pretty good partners back during the Clone Wars, when Boba was first starting out as a bounty hunter. They watched each other's backs and took on bounties together quite a number of times, even forming their own bounty hunting game called the Crate's Claw. However, sometime into the Imperial era, the gang disbanded and Bossk and Boba went their separate ways. Since then, they have generally treated each other like business associates rather than as friends. That is until Boba and Bossk both went after the same bounty. During the later part of the Galactic Civil War, Boba and Bossk actually became adversaries, taking on the same bounties and dueling one another. Boba even left Bossk for dead at one point. However, despite all that, Bossk and Boba Fett were both at Jabba's palace during the rescue of Han Solo. It's possible that they could have reconciled there, they could have mutually agreed that it was all just business, or they could still hate each other. Either way, I think it's likely Bossk could show up in the Book of Boba Fett. What about Dengar? Could he show up? I think it's less likely, but still possible. The last we saw of Dengar was in the book Aftermath Empire's End, the final book of the Aftermath trilogy. He had joined up with fellow bounty hunters Jaz Imari and Embo to form their own bounty hunting gang following the official collapse of the Galactic Empire. The question really is, if he were to appear in the show, would he be a part of that gang or would he be on his own again? He seemed quite adamant in the book that bounty hunters needed to work together now that the New Republic was in charge of the galaxy. So if Dengar made an appearance, he would probably want to work together with Boba. There's also IG-88. He could be in it as well, but I say that just because it would be efficient for the showrunners to just use the same IG-11 prop from The Mandalorian, and then call that one IG-88. If he did show up, I don't think he'd be an ally. IG-88 and Boba haven't really gotten along in the comics lately. Cad Bane is one that I've seen thrown around a lot as someone who could appear in the Book of Boba Fett, and to be honest, I don't think it'll happen. And if I'm being really honest, I don't really want it to. Cad Bane is already getting on in years by the Bad Batch. But even more, I don't really like the idea of just throwing popular characters into a story just because it'd be cool. I'm not really sure how it could serve the story beyond giving us a resolution to the unfinished Clone Wars arc, where Cad and Boba shot each other. And in my opinion, that unfinished business between them would be a perfect opportunity to resolve in The Bad Batch. Cad has already been in it, and Boba is essentially Omega's brother. The last bounty hunter I could think of was Valance from the comics. It would honestly be dope as heck if he made an appearance in live action, but I think his appearance in the show, at least in the first season, would spoil the story being told in the comics. Valance's fate is a bit questionable right now just because of the situation he's gotten himself into, but I won't get into that right now. Also, again, I don't know how it could serve the story. That being said, if Valance were to be in the show, there would be some serious tension going on. I mean, Valance's and Boba's rivalry is pretty much on site at this point. Okay, so those are all the bounty hunters that I think could show up in the Book of Boba Fett. Really, the only one that I truly doubt is Cad Bane. It's possible he could be in it, but I personally want his story to be resolved in The Bad Batch. It's close enough to the Clone Wars era, and I feel like Cad should remain a Clone Wars character. just to sort of preserve the uniqueness of his presence. Anyway, those are my thoughts that I wanted to share. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know in the comments if there are any other characters or bounty hunters that you think could make an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett. Until the next video though, thank you for watching.